Hi there and welcome to Lorena's Labyrinth. My name's Anna Pirelli. The comments that you see here are my views, beliefs, opinions, and sometimes they are not even my fully formed views, beliefs, and opinions. However, they are my understandings. Please do retain an open mind and reflect on any of the content and your comfort levels. If your views differ, please feel free to leave a comment. Also remember, it is possible to disagree in respectful ways. My way is not necessarily your way and vice versa. You might also find that some of the content on this playlist in regard to spiritual or universal laws, it resonates with you, meaning it feels right to you, while other laws may not feel right or they may not feel comfortable. If this is the case, the information is either not right for you or it is not right for you right now, and it might never be right for you at any given time. It really doesn't matter. As an earthy and practical person, I can put my hand up with all honesty and say that I have at different times had the same feelings about some of the content in here. And with some of them, I still have a level of skepticism within my viewpoints, but I choose to retain an open mind about the things that I don't fully understand for a few reasons. Firstly, because I believe it would be supreme arrogance to think that we all know all of the answers while we have a body. And because what is right for one of us is not necessarily right or suitable for all of us, and I choose to respect the differences. Please do leave your opinions, beliefs. Feel free to argue the points in a respectful way with any of the content on the slides and even my interpretations. And if you feel that you can add clarity around some of the content, we would all love to see it. Thank you. For now, though, let's explore the laws.
All creation is governed by law. The principles that operate in the outer universe, discoverable by scientists, are called natural laws. But there are subtler laws that rule the hidden spiritual planes and the inner realm of consciousness. Contained within these laws, or conditions, is the true nature of matter. Knowledge of these laws has an effect upon the mental urges. Mind is the builder. Stay in full mindfulness of the application of universal law as related to self and to others, and know that in love all life is given, in love all things move. In giving one attains, in giving one acquires. In giving, love becomes the fulfillment of desire, guided and directed in the ways that bring the more perfect knowledge of self as related to the universal, all-powerful, all-guiding, all divine influence in life. Love is life. When we go back, merge with the God source, in some infinitesimal but profound way, we expand the mind of God. Our higher self always points the best and most perfect way, and it is ours to listen and choose or reject what we hear. It does not blame, but patiently tries again to show the perfect way, the loving way. All of creation pushes forth. We are ever becoming. Identity ever remains. Universal Law number 72. The law of the present moment. Time does not exist. What we refer to as past and future have no reality except in our own mental constructs. The idea of time is a convention of thought and language, a social agreement. In truth, we only have this moment. When we hold regret for an occurrence in the past, we keep the regret alive with pictures and feelings we conjure up. When we feel anxiety about the future, we keep the anxiety alive with the pictures we imagine. Time is the abstract concept. When we practice remembering that the here and now is all we have, our present moments improve.
So when I read that law and listen to it, I have a few concerns. I do find it a little bit frustrating when I read things like time doesn't exist, because I find it to be quite misleading, and it seems to create a level of irresponsibility amongst people who take the words literally. What else could I say? Look, not only have I often questioned if these concepts breed hopelessness, and this is because of my working with mental health. But whether or not, when I read this within its context now, it's like, is this passage actually not in conflict with a lot of the other laws that we're looking at for the third dimension as well? These are things that I think are worth exploring. Especially when you see these words linked with the comments of, it's not real. Nothing that happens right now is real, and I used to say years ago, and I think it's quite humorous, right? So right now we're sitting with each other and this moment is not real. Okay, so let me pinch your arm and tell me, did you feel that? If you felt it, it's real. Okay, so I think that it can be quite psychologically undermining for people, and that's my concerns. Anyway, so I just said that I do find that there's a contrast with this law that doesn't necessarily align with all the other ones, although I do understand, I want to be clear about this, I actually do understand what they're actually saying with this. I just think it is very open to misuse and can be quite destabilising. So here is how I'm going to interpret it, which I believe is a healthy way of interpreting it. We all have a past, we all live in the present right now, and we all have a future on the earth plane until such time as we shed our bodies. Now, in each present moment, right here, right now, ideally we are learning from our past experiences and we're developing new skills and positive behaviours and attitudes right now, here in the present, so that we can make healthy choices that will lead to a positive future for us, either individually or collectively, right? Now, this is real and grounded information. I do accept that in the present, we can't change the past of this life, okay? What is done is done. Once it's been done, there's no going backwards, okay? We can't actually, if there was something go wrong, we can't fix it. So we do have to be able to live in the present and take on board the lessons of the past as opposed to reliving it, okay? Then if we are living in the present and we are absolutely stuck in anxiety about the future, and I mean, we live in a very uncertain world, well, what will happen is that we miss out on the opportunities that might arise for us. So let me put this into perspective a bit better. So when we struggle to release the past, we're resisting change, okay? We're ruminating, we're being stuck there. When we're bound with anxiety and worry about the future and the present moment, we're thinking about things that may or may not happen. And if we spend too much time in either rumination, regret and grief, or too much worry about the possibilities of what may or may not happen instead of enjoying the present moment, we're losing an opportunity today, in this present moment, to have a joy-filled day, to see opportunities that may or may not come to us and to make the most of them, to maximise them. And that becomes lost opportunities for the future as well. So the passage is basically saying the only moment that we actually have control over right here, well, is right here, right now, in this moment. And my concerns, and I'll just put it through here, is that if we ignore the present, then it becomes a moment in time that can never ever be retrieved. If we're focused on worrying about the future, once today is gone, that's it, it's gone, and there's all those lost opportunities. So then today, the today that we are living becomes something regrettable down the track. So to be healthy, we have to be living in the present. We have to be fully in the present moment. And when we are fully in the present moment, we will see the opportunities, we will see the joys, we will see the blessings, we will be able to be more grateful. And this is what they call the act of being in the present. Okay, so it's really important that we all be present in the here and now and retain positivity. So this is how I interpret that one. Now, I just want to make note, I've put up some images here as well. So I've obviously expanded on what I believe that is saying. But for people that may or may not be aware, and I'll just justify myself here by saying I find words such as abstract ideas, quotation marks, and concepts to actually be academic terms. They're referring to the thinking and the thought processes, and not necessarily the feelings or the experiencing of the ideas. So it's a very detached viewpoint. Now, at the same time, I do understand, what the comments are about is because actually I've spent some time looking at them at university, so it makes more sense to me. So let's see if I can do the subject justice, which incidentally is going to be hard to do when I'm narrowing it down to a couple of paragraphs. Okay, so when we talk about time, from an earthly perspective, and of course the universal laws are supposed to be for third dimensional living, let's remember that. There are two primary approaches to time as I understand it, and they're based on culture and location, and these form people's individual value systems as well. So most Indigenous cultures, including the traditional Irish folk, they were not considered to be an individualistic culture. They were collectivist. They worked together collectively in groups or communities, and their lifestyle and perception of time was dictated by the nature of their survival needs, okay? It was about, because they basically lived off the land, if they're planting crops, the seasons will dictate to them how they live. And of course, seasons are cyclical. They have to be putting in their crops at the right time, they have to be harvesting at the right time, and it's all about survival. So life, as I say, revolved around these seasons, and when it was, for example, time to plant, it still happens today actually in farming communities, even here in Australia, when the seasons are in and it's the right season, these people might be working 14, 16 hours a day because they work because they know it's about survival, and they've got to get the plants in before it gets too hot or too cold. In Australia it could be too wet as well, or too dry, all of this stuff. So they must get this work done by a certain time, and then once that has been completed, the task, then it becomes a time for celebration because they can rest. Okay, their base needs will be taken care of in the future. So in the present moment, they're completely focused on what it is they need to do to be able to live well in the future. So that's just something for you to think about. And then, of course, we have other communities. I just mentioned with the farmers that, yes, they can work, because we're in Australia, they can work really, really long hours and long days during certain seasons. But in the northern hemispheres, where they have shorter days, their life is also going to be dictated, and it's seasonal based, certainly if they're living off the land. And so this is what we call the circular time. It's not dictated by the clock going, oh, look at that, just check my watch, knock off time, beer o'clock. That's not their lifestyle. And if you think of it, the old shepherds, and even in some of the some countries today, you will actually see examples of this, the nomadic shepherds and that kind of thing, who will shift their livestock to a certain part of the land, or they will migrate to where there's an abundant food source, based on the seasons, and the other thing is too that these people, their days start very early in the morning. A lot of the time it might start at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So they do their work, they get out, they do their work, they might work for a couple of hours, they take the stock where it needs to go, then they find themselves a nice tree to have a snooze under, but they're present to protect the flock against predators, things like that. That's all seasonal, circular time. Whereas most of us in the West, and that would probably include you and me, we tend to live by what is called linear time. We have the calendar, we live by the clock primarily. I mean, not all of us, I'm certainly not that fixated on the clock now, but as a culture and society, yes, we are. If you think about it, can you attend a meeting? Here's a calendar invite, please click, And so we tend to make a lot of our actions based on what the clock is telling us that we need to be doing, and as part of our time management and scheduling. And another example of, by the way, this Western concept of time that I'm referring to is actually called linear time or flat time. I can't remember where I read that years ago. I might have that wrong, but it's definitely linear, okay? And this is why that little line that I've got with the circles there, that's supposed to represent a timeline. If you want to know what happens to a nation or whatever, quite often as part of your education, you go, well, in 1850 this happened, and in such and such a time that happened. That's linear time. We're talking about a timeline there. And also, this linear approach to time is considered to be a Western or individualist culture, because it's not, when we live based on the clock, although we interact, no person's an island, our sense of survival is not dependent. I mean, I think that's debatable in itself. Not as dependent on working with the other members of the community as for the people that work by the seasons or the circular clock. So where I'm going with this is, I do to a large extent actually agree with this passage. I just have concerns that it's really open to misinterpretation, misunderstanding, and where people can basically throw their arms in the air and go, well, if nothing matters, if the past doesn't matter, I can do whatever I like. I don't have to worry about whose feelings I hurt or whose toes I step on or how many people I harm. Such is life. Yesterday doesn't matter. Okay, that's the kind of stuff I worry about. And then the other part is, because I've worked in mental health and with people that have a history of, I'm loath to use the S word, that they will not be able to sustain hope for the future because they think, well, nothing matters. I've got no control. I've got no free will. I've got no choices, that kind of thing, which actually is incorrect. They do, you know what I mean? They do. But we have to learn to live and be present in the moment, take on board the lessons of the past, appreciate the present for what it offers us, find blessings in each day, and then we will automatically, as a natural consequence, create a brighter future for ourselves. But anyway, look, enough of me waffling. I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are. Do you ever question things like what I do? I'm surely not the only person. Please do leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Take care. Bye-bye for now.